Welcome back to Surviving the Fandom, everybody. I have a very, very fun guest here today. Obviously, we've talked with some really great Survivor fans, some people who talk about Survivor, reporters with who cover Survivor. But today, I'm talking to somebody here close to home, and that is Alexa. I got y'all. I pulled Alexa. I got Alexa on the pod. This is big. This is huge. Alexa, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to even be in a series with like actual Survivor reporters. So this is super fun. I've missed it.
Well, I think that obviously you can tell like people have loved having you back on the podcast ever since we did the drafts, which have been so much fun. And I'm kind of sad they're over. Actually, I'm very sad they're over.
I know earlier we did top 50 moves and I liked what you said. You were like, oh, this is a good show. Like this show is exciting. And I felt the same way. I feel like there are times where, they're always talking about the same moment or always talking about the same season, but I think a draft makes it exciting. And we've also had some new faces too. So I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I know that everyone obviously loves you and loves your takes. How did you start watching Survivor? Are you a season 1 fan, or did you start because your family got you into it? What got you to love Survivor?
I grew up watching with my family. So the first season I watched fully was Panama, which is also my favorite season. And I guess I was in like middle school or so. And I have memories of Thursday nights, not Wednesday nights, like sitting on the couch during commercial breaks, just like strategizing with my family and saying like, oh, I could never win this challenge, or I could. And that's just always stuck with me. And then I went to college in Florida, which is where I met Phil. And I don't know why I was talking about Survivor at a party with somebody, but it clearly changed the entire course of my life because that's how I met Phil. He and I watched Cagayan together in college. And then ever since, I have been a ravenous viewer. So I didn't watch seasons 1 through 11 until I signed on to join the podcast, when Phil told me that I needed to know the first however many years of Survivor.
Yeah, I always think it's kind of wild when people start talking about Survivor in a public setting, unless your whole shtick is like, I'm watching Survivor for the first time, talking about Survivor when they haven't seen all of the seasons. I'm like, you got to do all the research. You got to know what's there. What was that like? I want to ask, what was that like watching Cagayan live? Like, that is obviously I didn't start watching until 2018. What was that like? Was that just intoxicating?
I did not realize you started watching in 2018.
It's my dark secret. That's not really a secret.
That is a dark secret.
I know. Ryan has been a day one. My partner is a day one Survivor fan. Basically, he started watching from the second season on. And when we started dating, he was like, "I'm sorry, we can't do anything on Wednesdays." And I was like, "What a weirdo!" And he was like, "Just watch." And he started me off on Survivor China, and then I have not stopped.
Oh. Yeah. Talk about a great first season.
Yeah.
Cagayan Live was crazy. And I'm sure this is somewhere in the depths of the specialist videos, but I was not a Tony fan whatsoever. I am not into the coach, the Tony, the very brash character. And so I remember being so annoyed that Tony won. I was so annoyed about the fake Super Idol play, which is funny because in the top 50 moves, I ended up picking that in my draft. I didn't like it. I thought he was annoying, but it was electric. And I'm from Massachusetts. Trish is clearly from Massachusetts, if you've ever heard her speak. So it was insane. And I was also in college. You go to each other's crappy apartments and you watch together. But it was especially exciting because I, in college, didn't have any friends who were into Survivor. And so I did drop off a little bit. And so it was so fun to get back on Wednesday night, popcorn, big group, everyone screaming at each other.
That's something that I found is so crucial because, I treat Survivor like a sport, or at least I try to. And it's hard to root for a team or watch something when it's literally just you. And I think that social media and the resurgence of Survivor ever since COVID, and just like all of the live shows that are happening across the country have done such wonders for Survivor and the fandom, because I do think people fall out when it's just like you and you don't have anybody to talk to about it. You can't like bounce ideas off each other. It's hard to kind of keep up with that. Have you kept up? So when you started, if Kagayan is like your researchers, have you kept up with it? Like, obviously you podcasted about it for a bit. Did you fall off there in the new era for a bit, or have you always been a watcher?
I've kept up ever since. I pretty much base my Wednesdays around it. The good thing is it's on at 8, so I can like go do something and then come home. But really I really should have studied my own timeline more. Like after college, there were a few years where I probably fell off a little bit, but I was watching every scene and I knew everything that happened. And then I really can't even remember when Phil reached out to me, but it wasn't too long after college. And then I podcasted for 5 or 6 years. So at that point, it then became like a job, a good, like the best job in the world. But I've never stopped. And then in the, I guess, 1.5, 2 years that I haven't been podcasting, I will miss it occasionally, but I will always watch it the next day as soon as I can.
And what made you want to, like, obviously Phil reached out to you to podcast. Have you always been like itching to talk about Survivor in like a public setting, or like what made you want to, join the podcast?
It started as like, so it was Phil and Will, which unfortunately will always sound better than Phil and Alexa. So I was like, there was no competition there, but I remember Phil reached out to me, and candidly, we had not been really in touch since graduation. But we would text about Survivor. But I think Phil texted me that he had a podcast, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then he was like, oh, my co-host is on vacation and I need someone to talk about. What season was it? I think it was Game Changers was my first season, which was tough. And I was like, okay, I'll just like yap with my friend to he would say this is to like not many viewers. And it was a lot of fun. I loved it. And I never I think podcasts weren't even that big then, like to the extent that they are now. But I don't know. I was just like, oh, I'm just chatting with my friend about this thing that I really like. And I've always been interested in like production, presenting, public speaking. I've always liked that. And then, once things changed and there was an opportunity for me to come on for real, again, I still felt like, okay, this will be this really fun, cool hobby that I get to do. I can't overstate how like shocked and emotional I am over like what this turned into. It's so special.
It is quite amazing. Obviously there are a lot of Survivor podcasts, but I would probably argue that the Specialists are one of the few that really kind of made a name for themselves in a land that is dominated by former players talking about the show. And there are other fan-led podcasts that are really, really wonderful, but they just haven't made as big of a name for themselves. And obviously, Phil and Will, and you have been doing this for such a long time, but it is so amazing, like how many people, and I've experienced this, like when I would go to live events in the city or anywhere, people would stop me and be like, oh, I love your social media. And then once I did literally one digging deeper with Phil during season 47, was it 47 or 48? I can't remember. I got stopped more as a guest on the Specialist. And it was it's just so incredible just how many people, again, it's going back to they yearn for community. People yearn to be able to be like, I'm not crazy. This is actually a good thing that I'm watching. Like, this is actually cool. Yeah. And people understand that why I love this thing. And so being able to hear people who weren't necessarily, didn't actually go out on the island, but who just love it for the love of the game,
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I think the Specialists is just so special. It's just because, we are all fans first and foremost.
It's funny. And I agree with you on the community thing. I typically will go to anytime Bryce and Wendell have an event in New York, I'll try to always go to it. But I remember distinctly, this was early on, so the podcast was still super in the developing stage. I I was like on like a first date in New York, and the bartender was like, "Are you Alexa from YouTube?" And I was like, "Oh my God." And this date ended up not working out, but I was like, "This is bananas. I am a like completely normal person who just fell backwards onto this YouTube channel." And then that then started like, now it's been a little bit, but I actually, since I've left the podcast, not so much. So it really says a lot about how much people are actually listening. But I would go to a Bryson Wendell event with my wife, and she's like, people want to take a picture with you, like they want to talk to you, and it is still just the weirdest, best feeling in the world, because like I am not a famous person. It's crazy, but it's just such a special community, and it feels I just like didn't know that you could like feel so much love over something like this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Now I have a question. Did that bar become your first date spot ever since? And you say, hey, just do this every time.
Yeah, like, oh, the bartender, they know me. I think it did help out for, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about this in so long. It was either like a big group of friends or like an event many, many years ago. And we had like finished up with where we had rented out. And then we were walking down Hudson, and we walked by that bar, and I was like, hey guys, I actually think I can get us in here. So I did take advantage of it one time.
That is amazing. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Now, Alexa, if you had to like introduce somebody to Survivor, what is the season that you think that would get somebody hooked? Or maybe what is your favorite season of Survivor?
I would say that you all know that hot takes are not my thing, but I would say China and Heroes versus Villains have been very successful when I've shown people. Micronesia, I have tried as well, but I feel like the beginning's a little slow. And honestly, returnee seasons are a little hard because like Parvati doesn't mean as much in her second season if you don't know her from her first season. But usually China, and then honestly, like Gabon has worked out pretty well too, because it's like, I mean, Modern Survivor is nothing like that. It's just insane.
Gabon is so good. I think like last year or 2 years ago, it was like on this day I had a video come up where I have like here's how I think you should start watching Survivor. And in the middle of it, I go, if you like regular reality TV and this is your first like thing about like competition reality TV or your first Survivor season, I think maybe you should watch Gabon. I feel like you would maybe like Gabon. It leans a little bit more wackadoodle or whatever than than Survivor necessarily. I mean, I don't know. Kenny's there. We gotta give Kenny flowers.
Exactly. It was in that whole like, I mean, the golden era. It was in that perfect time where Survivor was hitting its groove in terms of still being creative, still trying new things, but people knew they were on TV, but they were not purposely on TV. And so, like, we'll never get anyone from the cast of Gabon like ever again.
Yeah.
So, and it was like the right balance of like not having self-awareness, but in a really good way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about Survivor now is like I think that, I think that Jeff's saying like, oh, I'm never gonna cast villains. I think that's him kind of partially saying that like we're not going to cast villains, but also like I just don't think that there are as many people who want to play the game of Survivor who are not acutely aware of the online community around it. And I think that because of that, people aren't just willing to, do crazy things or whatever else because they just kind of know how the fandom could possibly react. Do you think that like there's anything that casting could potentially do to kind of get out of this? Because I don't think it's ever going to be to the extent of Gabon, but do you think we'll ever get, somebody who's kind of like a Gabon Rising or whatever?
Right, not a Gabon Rising. Amazing. I think Q is probably our closest to a Gabon Rising, but I don't know. I think casting's gotten a little better at casting people who are more complicated. Like I think Q is a great example, but then you look at Maria and I mean, I said what I said on the podcast. I feel the same way that a lot of other people do, but I liked that. Like, that makes this exciting and enjoyable and a good topic for debate. I don't want her to like not have a career because of that, you know? But at the same time, now that we're saying this, I think this did impact people's careers back in the day. So I really don't know. I think for the beautiful side of the community, the part of that same community also lives online and is not that positive. And I remember, you know, Phil and I debrief after every single podcast, and I remember he would always tell me, like, don't freak out about what you said. Like, you were kind, you were this, you were that. But I always just had so much like guilt about being negative or disagreeing with someone, because I just didn't want to like create this tidal wave of negativity towards someone.
That's a really interesting thing that you bring up, because I feel the exact same way, because I think that there is a little bit of people who talk publicly about something can drive discourse. And I think that's why I get the title as like a new era defender, because I know how much, and I think this goes because I live in New York City, and because I've talked with people who are in the new era, and I kind of know how like all of the discourse can affect them, whatever. I genuinely believe the things I say, but I think I'm louder about it because I know that like, it's like I'm trying to fight a tidal wave of negativity. And so I gotta be like, at least a little bit, I'm not saying anything that I don't actually truly believe, but I'm just saying it maybe more often or a little bit louder, because I think that there are like, people who talk publicly do drive discourse. They do, you know, if you're overly negative, then sometimes it can go to somebody, or if you're overly positive. But it also, I think that there's a sweet spot of, you have to still say things that you believe. Like, you can't be inauthentic, because then what is the point of doing it? Right. And so I always like, the thing that I always go back to is, as long as I'm doing this with respect, I think that there is, you know, as long as I'm treating these people like people, right, and I'm doing this with respect, then I can get my actual opinions out there. But it's a hard like tightrope to walk, because
it really is. It is, and yeah, I feel like I mean, like, you're in a, like, from the videos I watch, like, you are, I love what you're putting out, like, but you are very like open and clear about your takes, and that, I would say, unfortunately invites in like negative comments. And so I see what people say, and it just like, I appreciate that you like hold firm on being respectful, but also being honest, because it is a hard dance to do, and a lot of people don't do it. I would say that in general, most of the people who are talking publicly, so it's hard to it is hard to balance, because it's like, there's however many millions of fans. I can't imagine that the same people who are saying that they love each other at these events are also the ones who are posting what they post.
I know. And isn't it interesting? I don't know if you ever noticed this. One thing that I've learned, and I knew this is going to sound dumb. I knew that people, like, everybody had different opinions, obviously. Like, that's a dumb statement, right?
That's a take.
But I never really got it until I started making Survivor content, because I will be talking about something, and then somebody will say something that I've literally never heard in my life. They'll have a take that I've literally never heard, and I'm like, where did that come? Like, what? And you realize there is literally, everybody has an opinion on everything, and none of them are the same. Everybody, if there was an opinion to be had about Survivor, somebody out there has it. And
someone's got it.
Crazy. On Facebook the other day, somebody was like, I hate returning player seasons. And I went, what?
Wow.
What? Like, what? We hate returning. And they're like, yeah, I only want all new casts always. And I was like,
wow.
I could not disagree more, but this is fascinating.
Get them on the Hot Takes podcast.
Yeah. I was like, this is fascinating. The Hot Takes podcast was so interesting, because that one, I feel like, is kind of the pinnacle of, once you put it out there, you do not own that anymore, because then they did the reel, the TikTok of all of the hot takes, but with no explanation.
Oh,
and I'm like, no, but let me explain.
like,
No,
that's
but
not
please,
mine.
but please let
That's
me.
not mine.
It's so
That's
funny.
crazy. I have to go back and watch it. It sounds like it was unhinged.
It was crazy. John took it seriously. He was like, I'm going to give the most scorching hot takes you've ever heard, ever. Every single one was a hot take. And I was like, he follows an assignment to a T. It
Good
was
job, John.
amazing. It was amazing. Knocked it out of the park. And I do think though that like the hot takes are so interesting. It's a really interesting concept. And we even see like Dalton Ross, or I think it's Dalton Ross, like will go out and ask the players to write down a hot take like almost every season. And I think this was a fascinating exercise because it's like, let me say something that might be controversial, but something that I truly, truly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to, I think people who watch Survivor love to debate. Like, I think that,
oh yeah,
right? Like, I think we love to like just go over a topic that we've talked about 9 million times and do it again.
Well, you're right, because these seasons are like not changing. Like, we're still going to talk about season 3. Like, we're still going to talk about them. So there have definitely been times where I'm like, oh my God, I can't talk about Micronesia ever again. But there's so much, like because everyone has a different take. And I completely agree with you. I think, well, I'm a huge sports fan. Phil and I are both massive sports fans. And to me, they are the exact same. Like, I watch Survivor like a sport, exactly like you said. Oh crap, I just lost my train of thought. But yes, it's like people who like to debate, people who like sports, and I guess people who are deeply competitive, because even if like you wouldn't ever go on or play Survivor, like people will defend their coach till the day that they die. And I like that. Nobody kind of likes Survivor. I feel like everyone is obsessed with Survivor.
Well, you say that. I felt that. And then I met people. So my friend was like, oh my God, did I tell you I watched Survivor? And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And he genuinely will like miss 3 weeks and then watch 3 episodes sitting down in one sitting. And then he'll ask me about this and he goes, who was that? And he'll just say like, he won't know the name. And I'm like, you and I live very different lives, my friend. He just watches Survivor when it's convenient for him. I think and watch Survivor when it's convenient for Survivor, which is literally all of the time. I'm like, what is it like to watch to like something just like casually? And how does that not affect your life? Like, right. Survivor changed my life, genuinely.
Literally exactly, like literally changed my life. But I agree with you. But maybe this is more of an us thing, because I just started watching The Pit. I watched it in like 2 days. Like, I just fell in love, and that was it. I will say, to go back to your first question about like if I'm watching consistently, maybe fell off the wagon is not the appropriate term, but season 48, I didn't watch for like a month and a half. Like, I don't know if it was subconsciously, I was kind of not into it. I also wasn't held accountable anymore. I did not have to talk about it on the internet after it was over. It was a combination of not really loving it and just like having plans. And I think Phil like called me on to do a podcast, and then I binged the entire pre-merge. And I was like, oh, binging Survivor is a completely different experience than watching it live and like trolling on Reddit the next day. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind it.
I think that there are a lot of seasons in the new era. I genuinely believe that in 5 years, we're going to look back on a lot of new era seasons with much kinder eyes, because I think it's really wonderful to watch something live with everybody, and then I love, I think about like my favorite TV show that I ever watched live other than Survivor, because I don't consider Survivor a TV show. It's a lifestyle. It's different. It's different. My favorite TV show I ever really watched live was WandaVision. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because, well, number one, I didn't have a job. I was furloughed still. So I had nothing to do with my time. Nothing but free time. But I would watch an episode and then I would go online and I would just think about all of these different things that could possibly happen. What did this mean? What did this mean? I was like diving into everything. And it was so much fun to think about an episode of WandaVision for a week. And then I would watch another one and then I would do it again. And I think it's really, really fun. And I think that there are seasons of Survivor that are really good. Like I would say season 47, for example. I think that's a really good season to sit and watch. Like David versus Goliath. You could delve into everything that's going on. There's like so much going on, all that. And that's why it's a really great season, because there is just so much going on and you can extend out the time. But then there are other seasons of Survivor where I think that they are better when you sit and binge. And I think 48 is going to be one. I think 43 is going to be one. Like, I think there are a lot of seasons where the slow burn actually hurts the watching experience. And if you sit down and you watch it really fast, I think it's a much more enjoyable experience, because 48, for example, was such a good pre-merge. And then nothing happens after that. I think that nothing happens after that. You'd be able to see how Kyle, like, you're not like waiting for somebody to make a move. You're watching Kyle dominate. You're watching Kyle and Camilla dominate. And it's like a different experience. And so I think that we're going to like look back on New Era stuff with kinder eyes in like 5 years.
I completely agree with you. And it's like part of the bit to hate the New Era, but first of all, I'm glad that you are a defender and don't ever change that, because I completely agree with that. This was part of where I like struggled with the podcast, but more so in the New Era was I had 90 minutes to watch, and then I had to give basically the exact same amount of time to like talking about them being bored, sad, and hungry, or this one, Kyle and Camilla again saying it's a secret alliance and not doing anything about it. But if I recap the entire season, then you see the slow burn that you just said. So I agree with you. Some shows, we all have like our comfort seasons too. I might try 47 as my next comfort season. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I loved 47. Now I have a question. So I know obviously you don't podcast like regularly anymore. Is the reason, like, did it start to feel like a job? Is that one of the reasons why you stopped podcasting?
Yeah, I had been feeling it for a little bit, honestly, since season 41. So that's why I'm like so worked up about the New Era. But I really should know how long I think I did it for like 6 or 7 years. It was a really long time. And it was always enjoyable. It was my, I come home early from vacation to do this. And like, when we were in the thick of it, like I was texting players and that was so cool, and meeting up with them. And I mean, you get it. It was just really, it was so special. It did get to a point where I wasn't loving the show as much. I was really struggling to just like give it my best. I wasn't liking the show. I was hard, and I felt like it was obvious. And Phil and I, have always been super open on the podcast, and he has been really open too about how collectively we both almost quit after season 41. And I'm glad that we didn't. I'm glad that we stuck with it. But it did get to a point where I wasn't willing to give it more. And I'm so happy that Phil stuck with it, because now we were doing the top 50 moves, and there's like 50 podcasts you guys are doing afterwards. And that brings me so much joy. I never could have done that. And both out of want, but also just out of the way that my life is, and where I was at that point in my life. I brought it up to him, I think like season 44, and we had kind of just said like, okay, we'll go season by season and figure it out. But then once it actually came time, I was like regretting my decision. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to quit. And I was really sad. Like I think I like cried on my goodbye podcast. I was so upset. It was absolutely the right decision, but the itch is coming back. Clearly, I'm on a lot more podcasts now, but overall the decision it was starting to feel like a job. I had a really hard time just giving it my best. And I didn't really like being a quote unquote public figure. And to call myself a public figure is a very liberal interpretation of that word. But for all of the like first dates at the bar or like meeting up with players, there was also like, I don't know, just like people requesting my Instagram that I didn't want to, and like it kind of creeping into a part of my life that I just didn't want it to. I'm like a fairly private person. I have a private Instagram. I feel bad. People who follow the podcast try to follow me, and I say no. So I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. But I did just have a really hard time with that aspect, kind of the negative side of things.
Yeah, it is a weird thing, you know. I've experienced this. I started obviously just not podcasting, posting TikToks, and literally started talking to 200 people, right? I had 200 followers. It took me a year to get to 1,000, took me another year to get to 5,000, right? Yeah. So it was a very awesome. Slow growth. But then one day it just, you like blink and you're like, wait, like, how did this happen? And this is exactly what I wanted. And I'm very happy. I'm exactly where I want to be. It's not a problem. But you just are kind of like, oh, you think about like, wait, I'm talking like, yes, I'm alone in my apartment right now. Yes, when I make videos, it's just me and my phone. But you think about it and you're like, well, this is actually, I'm basically giving a speech to an auditorium of people. I just can't see the people. And so you have to like, it took me a long time to put it in perspective. I had 5 years. I've been doing Survivor content for 5 years. 2 days ago is the literal
congratulations
anniversary. Awesome. Thank you so much. It's crazy. And it was like about 6 months ago, I like thought, I was like, sat down and I was like, oh my God, like I'm doing this. This is what's happening. And it kind of is, you don't really realize that it is so public because you're not in public doing it. I'm in my 1-bedroom apartment. I'm in, talking to a wall and, whatever else. It kind of sneaks up on you.
It does. And it snuck up in like a really good way. Like out of nowhere, I was like getting drinks with like all these people who I thought were so cool, and they were responding to my DMs. And so I was the person who I am now rejecting, for lack of a better term. And it was so good. And honestly, I'm sure a lot of it, all my friends are like, you never should have quit. It was so fun. Like, wait, like you shouldn't have done it. But a lot of it probably was paranoia and just like in my head. And everyone's the main character of their own life. So I'm like, who do I think I am that all these people want to, whatever, follow me on Instagram and stuff. But it wasn't right. And I wanted to try. I wanted to say like, okay, I'm going to walk away from this. And if I am miserable, then Phil will just take me back, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with my decision. I again, like now seeing where the specialist has gone, I know that like in a way I would have held that back because I just had time constraints that Phil does not. I had commitment restraints that he didn't. And so I'm now really happy. I'm really happy to be like getting back into it, and that there's a lot more capacity for me to do like this podcast. And Phil joked about this last week, but if there's a topic I don't want, I'm not doing it. I'm only going to do the ones I like.
I love it. And you know what? I think about like, what got me into like Survivor, extra Survivor stuff was the Wandoff, the Josh Wigler on RHAP. And I was devastated, absolutely devastated when he stopped doing preseason stuff and when he stopped just the podcasting. He just was like, he burned out. And I always take kind of that. I think about how he like burned out and he didn't want to do it anymore. And I always think about how like, I don't want that to happen to me. And so I use that as like a check-in point. Like, am I feeling burnt out? Do I need to slow down? I want to keep doing this because I love doing this. And I do not want to get to a point where I am feeling burnt out or whatever else. And so usually I'll like take a step back, but I really feel like him doing what is best for him really taught me that like, if I need to stop, but also if I need to slow down so that you don't have to stop or so that I don't have to stop, I can also do that. And that was a really, I think, very healthy like thing that I always kind of revert back to is I think about Josh Wigler, and he's back watching the show apparently, and he's enjoying himself, and that's exactly what, like, it's a show that you should enjoy. And but I go back to him and I think like, okay, I'm feeling a little stretched thin. Maybe I should, pause, maybe slow down a bit, maybe don't hit the brakes completely, but, go into a 15-mile-an-hour zone or something. And it's been very helpful for me, at least since I put it in that perspective.
I think that's Tegwyth. That's totally the right way to do it. I wonder if I had instead just like maybe done it once a month instead of every single, like twice a week, if I would have stayed on longer. But you're right. This is a thing that we love, and you're in a good position where you can like peel back if you need to, or if the community is acting in a way that isn't bringing you joy, or if you are just like, I'm sure like you probably also have times where you're like, I don't have a take, or like, I don't know what to say that's interesting. I remember struggling with that too. So I think being able to take a step back, but still loving it, that's actually probably the root of it. I totally stopped loving Survivor. It was not exciting to me anymore. And I'm loving it again now. So we went on a little break and now we're getting back together. And
that's all that matters.
Exactly. And I think that's it. So now you know to look out for that. So that's going to be really successful. I'm so glad to hear that Josh Wigler's watching again. It brings me so much joy.
I think he's a casual viewer now. Like I think he does the wand off maybe once a season now. So that it's kind of back, but not fully back. And so people can like submit songs, and they do like songs for the whole season or all of the episodes until, but I don't know if he does it every season. I think it's like if they want to, it happens kind of a situation, which makes me I'm happy. At least we get a little bit, you know what I mean?
That sounds great. It is funny being a filthy casual, going from like the daily. I can't lie. I definitely still look at Survivor content daily, but like to just be like, to text Phil and be like, why isn't Amanda on 50? And like not having read anything is really, really fun.
But why isn't Amanda on 50? Let's be real. That's crazy.
Literally what? And then I got, fell back in immediately. The fact that she was like so close is unbelievable. It's awful.
It's awful to think about. It's actually awful to think about. It like brings a tear to my eye. The fact that we were literally so close to having Amanda back after the thing about Amanda, where was she? Like, it's not like we didn't even know where she was. Like,
right. Like, how'd they get her
social
number?
Media? Like, genuinely, did somebody have to go and like knock on her door and find, like, how did they find her? That's step one. That was incredible. And then to like the theory is that she didn't want to do it because Ozzy's there. Babe.
Oh.
Save Ozzy. Save Ozzy
We've
for another
seen
season.
Ozzy. Like, we've seen him a lot.
That's just a theory. I don't know if that's actually true, but
wow. Yeah. That's killer.
It's killer.
That's tough. I feel like I was actually out to dinner with a friend the other night, and he was like, is Cirie playing again? And I was like, yeah. And I don't know. I'm a huge Cirie fan. I have very much enjoyed watching Ozzy, but what I would have liked a little more out of season 50 is the like, oh my God, Amanda. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, Malcolm. We are getting that a bit. I don't know. Like, you tell me, are people excited about Jenna? Because I'm actually thrilled that she's coming.
I'm thrilled about Jenna. I do feel like, there's a very interesting thing where a lot of people became fans in 2020, which is basically when I became a fan. I only became a fan 2 years prior, but and so I do feel like there are a lot of people who haven't actually like seen Borneo or who haven't gone back. And so I'm not saying that is the majority of the fandom. I think that a lot of people are excited about Jenna. I wish people were more excited. And I also wish that Survivor was using her more in press stuff. I feel like that it's Jenna, my hot take, I think I've told this before in other podcasts, but Kyle is the Jenna of season 48. If All Stars had been a final 3, I think that Jenna would have won, sitting next to Rob and Amber. And in 48, Rob and Amber was Joe and Eva, and Kyle won.
I like that.
And so I think it's a very big deal that like Jenna is back. I think she's a very good player and she's kept up with the show like pretty religiously throughout the most of the entire run, whatever. I think people need to be making a bigger deal about this. Like, I think people are upset it wasn't like Colleen or Greg. And I'm like, but it's Jenna, babe. Like, what are we doing?
Real. I completely agree. She also, like, she plays hard. And to go back to the villains thing, it'll be interesting because we are going to bring back some older villains. Like, is it more palatable if we already decided that they were a villain? Because I don't know if she was a villain, but she kind of feels like it. She's very harsh. She plays very hard, and I'm so excited about her. But like, Stephanie is a villain. I know she was classified as a hero, but like, I think are going to be significantly more accepting of her than we would if we cast a brand new Stephanie in season 51.
I agree. I totally agree. I think that it's going to be very interesting watching these old school players, old school and new school. I know to me, there are 3 eras, whatever, play against these new era people. I think it's going to be really fascinating. And you know what I'm really most excited to see, if I'm being completely honest, I'm very excited to see people like Cirie and Ozzy and Coach and Jenna and don't tell Phil, Colby. Forgot Colby's name for a second. Don't tell Phil, I'll get fired. Play in the new era, but I'm really very intrigued to see people like from Dave versus Goliath, like Angelina and them, and Rick Devens play in this new era kind of style, because they're so recent, but they still played a 39-day game. They still played a very different game, and yet they played so recently. I'm like fascinated to see how that's going to be translated to like this new era game, even because I know like the old school people, I know that everyone's going to figure it out, but we know there's going to be a kind of learning curve there. I don't think that people have accepted that there's going to be a learning curve for these other people as well. And I'm kind of excited to see that.
That's so true. And that's the group, the David vs. Goliath group. And I was a huge Chrissy fan / defender. Because that's the time period that we've been begging for a returnee season. So I'm so excited that they're back. But you're right. They are in that weird, it sounds like this 3rd era that you're referencing. They're in that weird bit of like, they're very, very good. Well, I like Sierra Steelers, Hustlers, but like very good seasons that no one would ever refer to as old school, but they're not new school.
Yeah. It's gonna be very interesting, I think, to see them all like communicate. Do you have a winner pick for season 50, or are you just letting the wave?
I literally don't, which means that I'm a filthy casual, but I think I have to think about it.
I mean, you could say, who do you want? Do you have like somebody who you want to win? Maybe they won't.
I want Chrissy to win, and I like Tiff. Apparently people like weren't thrilled that she was on, but I was a huge fan, and I want her to win. Like,
I love Tiffany. Tiffany was my
nice balance of like not Coach Colby, but not like D, you know?
Yeah. She was my 46 winner pick. Which in this household, Ryan was his winner pick was Kenzie, and my winner pick was Tiffany.
Great duo.
I know. I was like, this is incredible. Very happy. I felt, so my preseason winner pick for 50, like before they even flew out, I was like, Tiffany.
Yes.
Because Tiffany is kind of that perfect, she's kind of like an Amber. She's kind of like a Sandra. She's kind of like a Sarah. It's just like that woman who, obviously Sandra did well, but her game wasn't regarded in like a positive light, really, when she went to Heroes versus Villains. Who, like a woman who did okay. Obviously in Sandra's case, she won, but like people didn't take them seriously. And I think Tiffany is that person where she has she did the worst on her season of anybody who wasn't a returning player. So everybody has placed ranked higher than her.
Okay.
In a season. And I think that people were shocked that she got brought back, which is exactly like people were shocked that Amber was on All Stars, right? And I think that she'll be underestimated, and then we'll be able to. The only caveat here is that she's with 2 other 46ers, and that could be a problem with Q and Charlie, but I don't know. I think that that's a really good thing for her.
I think so too. And I to the point about, I guess this is more of like a Sandra comparison, but like lest we forget that she was on an insane tribe, and she like tried her best to manage the Banu situation, but I don't really see, this is my problem. I can't remember like how much of a relationship she and Charlie have, but she and Q like worked together, and then they didn't like each other, and then they did. So she's going to have to manage that, but I think nobody's going to be afraid of her because they're going to have to deal with Q. But she already knows how to do that. She doesn't have to learn how to do that.
Exactly. She doesn't have to have the Q learning curve if they're able to meet up at the at a merge or whatever, or a swap. I also think that like some people forget that on their tribe, Tiffany was the decider. There were 3 people left in that tribe: Kenzie, Q, and Tiffany. Tiffany had the idol. And if they went back to tribal council one more time, it was going to be Tiffany's decision on whether or not she would have sent home Q or Kenzie. And so she was in the power position in that tribe. So I think that, you know, she knows the game really well. I think that, I don't know. I think that she has a lot of game in her, and I think she's going to do really well. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for her to see if that is actually the case. Do you think that Cirie has a chance at all this season?
I don't. I really don't. I don't watch The Trader. Do you watch The Traders? Like, are you?
I do. Yeah.
Multiverse. Okay. I just got Peacock for the Olympics, and I'm probably gonna dive into The Traders. I've been lagging, but anyways, I love Cirie, but I also I don't love a 24-person cast. I'm not looking forward to that. And for the first time, I didn't feel it's a game change, but the first time I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. You know, I think everyone wants to work with her. I could watch her all day. I could listen to her laugh, like to fall asleep at night, but I don't know. I don't need it.
I don't. So, okay. I was actually low on them casting Cirie to begin with. I was like, I don't need to see Cirie again. I just saw her on Big Brother. I just saw her on The Traders. Like, I don't need Cirie. I then watched Australia versus the World.
How was that?
The season was really good. I have my issue with Australian Survivor is it feels more highly produced than American Survivor, in a way that it always, like, while I enjoy it, I feel like I'm watching a scripted television. I'm not saying that it's scripted. That's how it feels to me. And so I love it, but then afterwards I'm like, I don't know, just doesn't feel all real, but I always love it. Like, I always have a good time. But watching Cirie on Australia versus the World, I went, nah, I'm good with Cirie coming back. Like, this it was a very, seeing her play Survivor was, for lack of a better word, intoxicating. Like, just having her back, seeing her in a new space, but the old space, doing what she does best. Like, there was a person on Australia versus the World. She was a winner from New Zealand, I believe. And she just was like, I love Cirie. I actually don't care how I do this season. I'm not here to play for myself anymore. I'm playing for Cirie. And she just was like fangirling over Cirie. And I was like, girl, that's so me. Like, that's so me coded.
I would absolutely do that.
And so I'm very excited to see her again. But my worry here about Cirie is, like, how does she make it through that first vote? Like, how is she not the first one to go? Other than the fact that maybe if you're voting Cirie out, you're thinking to yourselves, are people going to come at my door with like torches and like be angry, like an angry mob from Beauty and the Beast? Is that going to happen here?
So true.
If I vote out Cirie, that would be the only thing that I like. But I feel like people are genuinely there to win and genuinely there to play. And I don't know. I'm nervous. She's got magic though. She's magic. So
there's something in her, like there must be like a glimmer in her eyes that just like when you see her. I went to whatever Bryson Wendell event it was over the past few years, and she was there, and we didn't interact, but because I couldn't even get within 20 feet of her. But like, there are certain people who, when they walk into the room, the energy changes, and she is one of them. She has this confidence, and obviously she's like a legend in this bar. And we like made eye contact, and I was like, oh my God, I love her. I was like, I'm in love with her. Some people, it's like, forgive me, I don't know if you're a football fan, but like if Tom Brady walked in the room, I would like pass out. Like it felt like that level of like, I don't know how to talk anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's the thing though. I keep thinking about Cirie because I agree with you completely. And I've seen her at a couple of Bryson Wens, and every single time I'm like, I'm just happy to enjoy her presence at a distance. Like I'm just happy to be in the room, like I'm just good with that. But I don't know if you have seen Cirie's like interviews about this season. She seems to really like the season.
Right.
And I'm like, interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Tell me more, Cirie.
She has been very positive. That's a good point, because I feel like this is not an opinion I formed on my own. I saw it on Reddit, but someone was like, there's a lot of positivity in general around the season, and it sounds like they purposely cast people that way, but also like, I'm not going to name names, but I feel like they didn't cast the most positive group of people. But maybe they like went into season 50 like before filming, and they were like, hey guys, this like, here's what we want out of you, so like please give it. But that is a really good point, because I feel like when Cirie went out when Cirie went out, every time she went out, there was always this like heavy air. But you're right. I mean, on one hand, maybe she's been around the block. She knows how to sell a good season, but also, I mean, maybe she wins.
I don't know. It's just like,
that would be crazy.
It would be if they let her get within 10 feet of that final tribal council, if they let her get within 10 votes, like genuinely, if you're at final 6 and Cirie is there, I'm like, what are you doing?
You gotta actually,
what are you doing? That's crazy. You got to get her out. What I think is going to be interesting this season is there is a guarantee that the players don't know what's going to happen because of the fan vote.
Yeah.
And there's so much in the air. So like if they had gone into the season with like knowing, hey, we're going to have a forced fire making at final 4, maybe they're fine taking Cirie to the end, because they're like, well, it's been proven that Cirie loses in fire. Like maybe she hasn't practiced or whatever. But if there's a world where there could be a vote at final 4, like I think that's like ammunition Cirie can use and be like, guys, you probably are just going to be able to vote me out at 4. Like, how much everyone hates the final 4 fire making. Like, I feel like this unknown is going to be able to be used by the players to manipulate other players, which I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see if that actually happens. But it's like this unknown could potentially benefit people's games.
I agree. And there's a lot of good players who I think are going to use that to their advantage. Do you think we're going to get a final 4 fire making?
Yo, I don't know. One thing I've learned. So I recently started posting on, if anybody's a content creator out there, I just learned this. If you post on Facebook, I have 100 followers on Facebook. I can monetize on Facebook.
Look at you.
I've only made $13 so far, but hey,
that's money.
That's like a breakfast, that's like something, right? So I've actually started to use Facebook a little bit more. And one thing I've learned is I don't know this fan base at all. Like,
it's a whole different beast on Facebook.
It is crazy. I posted in a Survivor group, I said, who are you most excited to see back? I would say 85% of the people. If somebody says, who are you most excited to see back? I'm going to say Christian and Vicky. I'm going to say Angelina. I'm going to say, Cirie. No. 85% are people saying Joe from season 48 and Coach.
Coach,
and I'm like, Coach, I get, but it's usually people saying Joe and Coach or Joe and Jonathan. And I'm like,
oh, right, Jonathan.
I'm like, wow, I'm living in a different bubble over there on TikTok and Instagram, and Facebook is different. Like that's a
completely different bubbles. Yeah.
So I have no idea where this fan vote is going, because if I was just on TikTok and Instagram, I would say probably a vote. But there are a lot of people on Facebook who have very different opinions than me, so I have no idea.
That's such a good point. I remember that, and I feel like I'll say this about myself, not about anyone else, but like I definitely in the thick of it, I was like, well, they're wrong. Like they don't analyze it the way that I do, but also how many consistent viewers does Survivor have? Like 6 to 7 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like there aren't that many people on Reddit, you know, like that Facebook group is like probably half, you know.
Yeah.
It's a huge group.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I've heard that about Joe.
People love Joe. And I mean, I don't hate Joe. I'm also not somebody who hates Joe. I don't think that he played the most clean game that we saw. I think he got a very positive edit, because I think that they knew that they were going to bring him back. But I do think that like, I find it fascinating. And that is something I do say, though. I do say often that, like, you know, people in my comments are always talking about like, hey, like, I can't believe they haven't done this. Can't believe I haven't done this. And I have to, you know, I always say like, you know, we are super fans, obviously, but we are probably, you know, 15% of the overall Survivor fan base. And while you should, the production team and Jeff should absolutely care about the people who dedicate their life to this show, the people who like eat, sleep, and breathe Survivor. They should absolutely care what they feel and what they think and how and their opinions of the show. They do also have 85% or 80% of the fans who are casuals that they also need to keep in mind.
Yes.
And I think that's probably a very difficult tightrope to walk. I don't know that they're doing it that well, but
they're doing something.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do think that that is something to think about when like we are critiquing the show, or when, you know, fans are saying, well, it doesn't make any sense. Just like, I do think that we are kind of in a bubble, and that bubble is called a superfan bubble. And while we don't always agree, we agree on a lot.
We are still like a voting block. Oh,
yeah.
God, dare I say, we are like a block. I actually did not even mean that to come. I meant that in like the political sense, but it remains the same. Over Thanksgiving, I was talking with my cousins who are like casual Survivor fans, but I would say they're like a step in my direction. And they have young children. And I'm not sure if you know where I'm going with this, but they were like, what do you think about Survivor 50? And I was like, you know, I'm really excited. But when that trailer came out, I like didn't repost it on Instagram as my form of resistance. And they were like, what's your, I was like, take that, Jeff. I'm not reposting it on my private ass Instagram. And they were like, wait, like, what's the problem? And I was like, I cannot promote whoever this man, Mr. Beast, is. I don't know who he is. I don't want to know who he is. And I don't want him on my show. And they were like, we love Mr. Beast. He's like, whatever his deal is. And I was like, okay, that's why we did that. That's why.
Yeah, that whole thing is crazy. The Mr. Beast thing is crazy. I got a lot of heat because I was like not one of the people who came out swinging against that original trailer about the celebrities. I was like, maybe let's take a breath and take a breather, and maybe
5
give
minutes
them
per
the benefit.
episode.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like not that big of a deal, and maybe if it brings more fans to the show, maybe it'll be ultimately a good thing. People were like, how dare you say that? Survivor is pure. And I went,
the sanctity of the game.
The sanctity of the game. And you know what? I do get what they mean. Like, I do think that, you know, calling this season in the hands of the fans was a mistake. I think
was a mistake.
Do a fan vote, but call it like the quarter quell or something. Or like call it like, maybe not the quarter quell, but like call it something like I I don't know, half a century down, half century to go, something else. Because I think calling it in the hands of the fans gave it this kind of idea that we were actually going to have a lot of control. And then the votes came out and the votes were like, do you really want to have this dumb thing? Or do you want to be so smart and do this other thing?
If I was on Survivor, if I was on Survivor and Jeff told me like, hey, this season is based off of what the people want, and Mr. Beast came out, I'd be like, I'm so out of here.
Yeah.
Like this, like I wouldn't have voted for this. But you're right. Like the framing of the questions was so frustrating. And I don't even want to get into like, what if it was 90%? We voted for out, Final Four, Fire making, but it still happened. Like TV shows are TV shows. It's like, I have no problem with that, but I agree with you. Like for Jeff to lead to the players, like the fans voted on what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
When half of the trailers, things that we didn't vote on it's like frustrating. But I'm with you. I didn't repost the trailer, but I did post like when the cast came out, some opinions. And I had a kind of maybe a similar take to you of like, wouldn't have been my cast. This is not a disaster. And really, the more I've sat on it, the more I really like it.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree with you. No, when the cast came out, I literally said, you've got to be joking. I think it was like 2 or 3 days earlier when Redman confirmed that this was the list. I DM'd him and I was like, are you being serious? Like, is this a sick joke?
Is this wild.
A sick joke? Like, because I was saying when they cut Carolyn and Jesse, I genuinely was like, I wonder if it's going to be majority old school, because there was a rumor at the time that they were going with they really wanted to do just like a bunch of old school players and do a classic celebration of Survivor and have a sprinkling of new school people in there, or like new era people.
Okay.
That was like 2 months before the cast was like, it was early, but I was clinging to that hope. So when Carolyn and Jesse were specifically those two cut, I said, oh, they're saving them for a second chances. They don't want to use them on season 50. They want to save them for when they can really shine, which will be like, they are perfect for a second chance this season. And so it made sense to me. I was like, great. And then half the cast is new era. And I go, well, I'm an idiot. Well, I'm an actual idiot. And I look dumb now.
It was, I mean, like, to your point, it was like total sticker shock. Like it was crazy. And
I needed time. Actually, I'm happy they announced it when they did, because I needed 8 months to sit on this and really marinate with it and be like, I'm okay with this.
I was like, I think I was on one of the spoiler subreddit, and I was like, this cannot be real. Like all these spoilers are fake. No one knows what they're talking about. And then I tuned into CBS this morning whenever they like literally announced it, and I was like, wow, that was on national television. So this is happening.
Yeah.
But it's not, I actually have like a bigger problem with the fact there's 24 people than the fact that certain people didn't make it and did. But again, I'm more upset about who isn't on than who is, I would say. I actually, to go back to your Facebook fans, I actually am excited to see Jonathan again. I think he will be one. I find I like watching people be good at things that they're good at. So like watching him do challenges will be very satisfying. But if we get the exact same Jonathan, that works for me. Or if we get like a more strategic version, then I think that would be cool too. So
I like that take. I will say I was really low on the Jonathan, because Jonathan felt like a no-brainer in the sense that I knew I knew Jonathan was gonna be in the list. Like that was I did not even need to have a discussion. I knew Jonathan was going to be, I would have bet all my entire life savings that Jonathan was going to be on season 50, and felt very confident in that. And I was really down on that. And then I rewatched that episode where he does that whole challenge by himself. And I went, nah, man, I actually get it. Like I actually get this. Like
put this guy back on.
Actually, yeah, I could watch him do this literally all day. Like it's actually crazy to see how easily he does it, and then see the other tribes they literally can't do it. Like it's a fascinating challenge, and it's fascinating. Yeah, I don't actually hate it. I kind of wanted there to be a captain season with Jonathan, Joe. or no, sorry, Jonathan, David, and Nasir. This is my hot take.
Go on.
I think Nasir is a challenge beast and he doesn't get the credit for it that he deserves because his tribe, I think 2 or 3 times tried to throw a challenge and they couldn't because he just beasted his way through.
I don't remember that. That's so true. Yeah.
He said, no, we're gonna win this, and then they would win or come in second because while people were actively trying to throw the challenge, he was like, "No, guys, we're winning," and he would just do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's what I always wanted to see. I wanted to see like a challenge beast off and Nasir be up there. I see the thing about the Jonathan thing. I loved David. I think David is a more interesting Jonathan.
Yeah, that's true. I really liked David. I don't think David will come back. I feel like he'll fade into the ether a little.
I think you're right, but I think he's fascinating.
Yeah, he was good. And he was probably what like a present day someone would call a villain. Like we would never call him that, but like again, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think is there somebody from season 50 that you feel like you are that you wanted on season 50? Part of me that it's like the big names that you're sad are not there.
I'm really sad that Davey's not there. I've always loved Davey. I don't know where he got picked on the draft, but he like Amanda's obviously my number one. I like Malcolm, Dominic. I was shocked to not see them, but Davey, I loved. I also have a soft spot for him because Phil and I went to the live finale for David vs. Goliath, and I just like I'm shocked he's not. I'm shocked he wasn't picked. He feels perfect for this.
I had a very tinfoil hat theory that it was originally going to be Angelina, Christian, and Davey, but Mike White just like said, "Hey, I'm interested," and then they swapped Mike White and Davey.
Yeah, you can't have 4 people from from like a super popular season.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think Mike White is that was going to happen. Yeah.
But you're so right, and the way like Davey got so sad too.
Right, I watched that whole video that he put out. That I was like, "Am I crying?" Like, is
and you know what's beautiful is like he's excited for season 50.
Yeah,
and
I know he's a bigger person than I am.
Same. I am like, good for you. Like he's excited to see his friend go out there and play, and I'm like, Davey, I love you for that. I am like, because he's a fan, and I love that he's able to like kind of continue his fandom because I was certain he wasn't going to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, my big one was that I really thought that Jerry was going to be on it, and I was shocked because she followed me. I was at a RHAP event in Boston, and while I was at the event, I got a notification that Jerry followed me, and I literally could not speak for an hour. And I said, "Oh, she's on 50." I said, "She's on 50. She's doing some research. She's trying to learn more about the new era. Like she's on 50." And then when I heard she got cut, I went, "Who do I need to fight physically?"
That is cutting her. And my take is I don't even care that Colby's on the season in terms of the relationship between the two. Like she should have been on anyway.
Yeah.
Like even without him. And to know that she was cut, like her video too is another one where I was like, I don't think I could watch this.
Her video,
I love that she follows you.
It was like the coolest thing ever. And I was like, oh, I now see, this is why I don't gamble, because I also probably would have bet my entire life savings that Jerry would have been on season 50 and I would have lost that. So
not good.
This is why I don't gamble. But yeah, it's like, I was devastated, but I do think that it is going to be a fun season. Like, I think it's going to be a fun season. I am nervous how they're going to handle 24 people in 26 days.
I really don't know, because the episodes are they an hour and a half still?
I think they're an hour and a half, and the premiere is 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's like the next episode 2 hours, or am I wrong
about that? Maybe. That might be true. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, well, that's a great premiere. But yeah, will we lose like 3 people? 2 people?
So
I don't know.
I always thought that we would lose 2 people an episode until the merge. But there are 2 immunity idols. There are 2 tribal immunity idols.
In the premiere?
I don't know. they just have a photo. There was a photo that was shared of a gold phoenix and a silver phoenix.
Interesting.
And so I'm like, okay, so 2 tribes are safe. Are we voting off 2 people on a tribe? Like, how are we doing this? It's gonna be crazy.
How interesting. Oh, I'm excited. Well, I love that the premiere is 3 hours. That's gonna feel good.
I know it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be so long, but I'm like, give it
So
to
long.
me. Give it to me. I'm so excited.
Literally. I know.
Well, Alexa, I just want to say this was so much fun.
This
Thank
was
you so
awesome.
much for coming out on here and chatting about Survivor and your fandom and everything else. Is there anything else that you wanted to add in right here, sprinkle in at the end?
I don't think so. I have no hot takes left in me. So I'm so happy you reached out. You all will hopefully be seeing more of me. Phil said he was going to call me and talk about this, and he hasn't. So yeah, I'll see you guys around. I will unfortunately not be watching the premiere live unless I can get a weird live stream at 2 a.m. But I'm really excited that you're a part of the specialist. It's been so fun, like getting to know you and watching you, and it's just an awesome community. So thanks for all that you do.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm really, really happy I came over here, and it was you guys have you built a really wonderful thing and sustained a really wonderful thing, and I'm very, very overjoyed to be a part of this. It's so crazy and so wonderful. But this was a really, really fun chat. So thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me about your fandom.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for listening. We do have a couple of great episodes coming up. Don't have dates yet, but they're going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. And have a wonderful rest of your evening, everybody. Bye.